Brett Richards, who is the CEO and director at Goldshore Resources. Ticker on the OTCQB is GSHRF. Brett, how's it going?
Great, Zunaid. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I know you heard a little bit of the conversation that we just had with Dennis regarding gold, so I'm excited to have a different angle with you here. But before we get into all that, just give me a quick overview of what Goldshore Resources does.
Yeah, we have the Moss Gold Project in northwestern Ontario, about 100 kilometers west of Thunder Bay. We have a 1.5 million ounce indicated resource at 1.23 grams at surface, and 5.2 million ounces of inferred resource at 1.1 grams also at surface. This is going to be an open pit operation one day, but significant size resource.
You know, when we were talking during our prep call, part of the conversation was just the market and where it is. I'd love to kind of bring to light those conversations. So from your insights, from your opinion, why is the market where it currently is?
It's a great question that nobody can answer, but the reality is gold equities in the junior space are completely uncoupled from historical norms of trading. Inferred ounces in the ground typically trade at $20 to $30 an ounce historically, and indicated somewhere 40, 50, 60, and as you get up to proven probable, much higher. But we see gold companies today trading down. We're trading at $4 an ounce collectively between our two categories. And there's many other juniors trading at 10, 12, 14, $16 an ounce. And the reality is there is just no pools of capital moving into resources. And I'll caveat that and say yet, because I think we are going to have our day for gold. There will be I'll say the overarching geopolitical chaos that's going on globally. You have a U.S. election coming up in November, and kind of the macroeconomic outlook. You've got interest rates falling to a certain degree, and inflation being kind of a little bit stagnant. You know, the return on bonds is going to be a lot less than the return on gold, and I think you're going to see pools of capital eventually look to natural resources.
I mean, we've been talking about inflation. I think the CPI number that just came out recently, that sent the market to the downside, I believe, is the initial reaction that we had. But you talked about, in terms of where the market is, fine. We understood your angle on it, and you're right. No one can truly answer there's so many different variables and factors that go into it. But then let's go ahead and talk about innovation and sustainability and what that looks like in the gold mining industry itself.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you talk about innovation and sustainability, I think it's something we have yet to see in a widespread way by juniors, maybe even developers. Now, the seniors and the senior producers are a little bit more advanced on it. But innovation is about technology advancement, and sustainability is about the fabric and psychology as to how we think as mining companies. So, for example, innovation, mining techniques are hundreds of years old, and how we execute them has not changed, it hasn't changed much over that period. You find it, you extract it, you crush it, you separate it, you liberate it, you smelt it, and how we deal with each of those areas has only ever changed, like small movements in efficiency, and yes, through innovation. But there have been no fractal leaps in technology. So, I just don't see where we have a scenario where you find it, dig it, and smelt it. You cut out some of these processes. We haven't found it yet, but we are seeing the use of AI and AI algorithm applications, and we're starting to see it for exploration companies. It increases the probability of discovery prior to putting a drill in the ground. And a good example of this is Cobalt Metals. I think people look them up. It's an extremely well-funded AI exploration company looking for kind of battery minerals. But mining is still the dig, blast, dig, haul, crush, grind, separate, maybe a regrind, separate again, electrowin. That's what innovation looks like.
So that's what innovation looks like from a grand scale of things. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit in terms of how Goldshore Resources is going to embrace the innovation and sustainability side, especially, let's be honest here, to create value for the shareholders. So one way I'd love to kind of get some insight on is I'm talking technologies, I'm talking practices, I'm talking strategies. What are you doing?
Yeah, so I'll work towards, what I think is also important at this stage of development. That's sustainability.
Yeah.
And sustainability is a mindset. It's a cultural framework and a philosophy that goes right to the core values of the people who actually run the companies themselves. And right now, is the fabric of thinking. It's the fabric of actions. And mining has a reputation problem, and for good reason. We use slang, or the market uses slang like pump and dump, mine the market. We are perceived as an industry fraught with, let's say, corruption. And hey, we have a lot of black eyes over the past cycle to show for it that investors don't forget. So reputationally, we need to be different. So we need to build up our reputation for delivering risk-adjusted returns again. And that's why people come to the resources space. So when mining CEOs, approach things, they need to be doing the right thing at the right time with the right people and the right technology. You can't cut corners in our process. You can't communicate something is good when it's not. And we have to accept that not every project is the best in the world and may not ever see the light of day. And we approach it on a sustainability, whether we're talking to our stakeholders, whether we're talking to our partners, whether we're talking to our investors. There is a really big disconnect between our sector for a reason, because there's been a loss of trust. And we are taking an approach that we're trying to kind of rebuild that, doing the things that are going to be, I'll say, considered innovative. We do multi-element chemistry and oriented core. There are two programs that have borne significant results for us, but not everybody uses them. Are they advanced? Yes, they are advanced, and there are advanced geophysics as well. So there is innovation that makes us better, but I think it really starts to be the fabric of the people who are running these companies to, I'll say, improve and increase our reputation.
Now, you mentioned projects, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to this topic of conversation about the Goldshore's Moss Gold project, right? And to give some insight to the viewers at home, the mineral resource estimate last week was published showing about 1.54 million ounces at 1.23 grams, which indicates about a 5.2 million infrared at 1.11 grams. Now, that's a lot that you understand. The viewers and I myself may not. So tell us exactly how rich is this project with the publication that came out?
Yeah, Goldshore has been awarded an extremely large endowment. We actually have a path where we can show through historical drilling and historical mineralization, we can show a path to 12, 15 million ounces, and that's going to get the attention of a lot of people. So as far as quantity goes, I think we tick that box, first quartile of our sector in North America. As far as grade goes, we're north of 1.1 grams at inferred, 1.2 grams indicated. That is probably top quartile as far as grade goes, where we see projects like Detour Lake and Cote Lake and New Gold's project, Equinox Greenstone. These are all sub 1 gram deposits. Now they're big, large capex, big volume movement projects. And we see an opportunity where maybe we can selectively mine, isolate high grade, do a smaller scale project that has a lower capex in order to get this into production in a shorter period of time as possible. So what we have at Moss Gold is extremely special, and it's extremely large.
And then last question for me is in terms of your peers, with the resource numbers that came out, with everything that you've talked about here previously on this conversation, how does Goldshore's valuation stack up against your peers, your competitors?
Well, I wish I had better news, but we're trading at about $3.50 an ounce today, which is probably the bottom of the group. And we have peers trading at 10, 12. We have peers trading at 20, 25, and $30 an ounce. Yeah. So you can just imagine the potential upside when this market recouples to historical norms, when this market and pools of capital start to come into resources. What are they going to look for? They're going to look for discoveries that are big, that have potential, that are actually going to go into production, and that are valued very low today. And we tick every one of those boxes. You can see quite easily a re-rate where we would get 3-4 times money to our shareholders on just a simple re-rate, not looking at the actual potential at the end of the day. So I think there's significant upside for investors in Goldshore.
Well, hey, I appreciate the insights, but before I let you go, I got to give you the floor in case there's anything else you want to talk about that I may have missed.
So, Nate, I think we're in a very, very interesting time here. In my 35 years of doing this, I've never seen the perfect storm for a commodity like gold. And I think we're approaching that on a number of factors, geopolitically, macroeconomically, the actual weakening of the US dollar heading into a very chaotic US election. People are going to look for safety. They are going to look for, where am I going to get yield? Where am I going to get return? They're going to look to gold. They're going to look to gold equities. And I think we are going to have our day. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And, I've said this before. Patience is a virtue I'm getting really tired of having, but we will get there.
Hey, I hear you. And I look forward to when that time comes for you to hit my line, and we'll hop on to have some more great conversations. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely, Sinead. Thanks for your time.